The first step. I've been teaching, this concept of buying at auction for years, and early on, somebody came up to me right after the session and said, Rick, I get it. It's all great. I love the tool. I love the whatever, and I'm ready to start. But what really is the first step? Like, what's the first step? And I went, oh my God, I don't have that in my presentation. The first step is this: you must exit first. A little play on words, and I use it, to stick in your mind. Is you must exit first. The exit strategy is your first step. You cannot do anything until you know what your exit strategy is going to be. And for most of us, it's one of two things. It's the next property I buy, I'm going to add value and I'm going to flip it for the cash, okay? And then I'm going to put that cash in my pocket and I'm going to do whatever with it. Or I'm going to buy a property and I'm going to turn it into a rental. I'm going to do maybe bridge it with a hard money loan first, and then I'm going to put a conventional loan on it, and then from there it's just going to be an annuity for me the rest of my life. I'll write off the first X amount of years, depreciate, and then go from there. Now, there's some real distinctions in exit strategy, and I've talked to some amateur type investors who say, well, Rick, I'm going to buy a property at auction, and if I can't sell it in the first 60 days, I'll just turn it into a rental. And I'm like, whoa, no. Don't look at it that way. There's some real distinctions in properties that you should take for fix and flip that don't work well as rental, and vice versa. Let me bring you back to the property on Yuma and the property on Solomon. Take, for instance, the property on Solomon. By the time I was done with it, I was into it about $100,000, maybe a little bit less, $98,000. Solomon is a single family home. I could have got maybe on a great day, I could get $750 a month rent on that particular property. One tenant, let's say $750 a month rent. If through the course of the year I lose my renter, or something happens to the property, I go from $750 a month to zero, and my cap rate is really destroyed. I mean, a $750 against a $100,000 investment is not a great cap rate to begin with. I don't have in my head exactly what it is, but it's not great. And if I lose 1 month in there or a couple months in there, it completely gets obliterated. So I look at that and go, okay, I got $100,000. Why wouldn't, if all things were equal and I could do it, in sequence, why wouldn't I buy 3 properties or even 2 properties on Yuma? If I could buy 2 Yumas where I got $20,000 in purchase money and another $20,000 to fix up, that'd be $80,000 if I had 2 of them. But look what I have with an $80,000 investment. I've got 8 doors performing at $400 a door, roughly, compared to 8 times 4 is what, $3,200? So I got $3,200 in rent against an $80,000 investment compared to $1,750 rent on a $100,000 investment. Do you see the disparity in the investment? So please don't go into this with, oh, if I can't sell it, I'll turn it into a rental. That's a really bad play, because there's better rentals. There's some that are ideal for fix and flip. Solomon's an ideal fix and flip. It's not a great rental. Where Yuma, on the other hand, forget that I sold Yuma, right? But just look at it for what it is. If you want a good long-term rental, it's great, because if I got 8 doors for $80,000 and I'm running it out that way, even if I lost half of my renters in 1 month, I'm still making, what would that be, about $1,600? I'd still have $1,600 with half my renters gone, and that's more than the $750 I'd get on Solomon with a lower cost basis. So please take that as an example of, there's certain things that work well for fix and flip, certain that work for rental. And I'm not saying you can't take a single family home and rent it. It's just make sure you buy it right. You don't want a $750 rent against a $100,000 investment. It's just, there's a different formula there. And we can work through that. Feel free to call us. We'd be happy to work through some of those examples with you. But the key thing to come away with is certain properties work well for rental, certain work well for fix and flip, but you have to decide it first. What do you want on your next one? Do you want to make money on the next one, or do you want the write-offs and the long-term appreciation? two completely different investments, and your search is completely different, in my opinion, on what I'm going to look at tonight for tomorrow to make the thing happen. So, and I'm really happy that person came up to me and said, Rick, what's the first step? Because that's the first step. Because once you know, okay, my next property is going to be a rental, or my next property is going to be a fix and flip, it makes what I'm going to show you in a couple minutes on the site so much easier to work with.